Welcome to this JNJtabletop video where we have duck horns aplenty. My name is Jake, as evidenced by my nameplate. Of course, I'm always joined with Josh, and we have this guy who's been ducking us every time we've asked him.
That was Josh.
To do a video. We're like, Lee, why do you hate us so much?
I'm leaking the DMs. All right, I'm calling you out.
It's gonna be DM gate. That sounds like that has lots of layers to it.
Wow, that's
for Dungeons and Dragons. But anyways, we're joined with our good friend Lee from This Crits. There's gonna be all sorts of information about him and his content in the description. So please just pause this video right now and go check it out and subscribe and follow all those things, because not only is he handsome and funny, he's extraordinarily Italian and Irish and
Irish.
I'm just assuming you're Irish because you're from Boston, right?
Oh,
Is that just how that works? I can talk about Italian and Irish people because I'm both of those things.
I just love how you assume he's probably
He's Irish
too.
because he's from Boston. That's what you're supposed to do about people,
well,
right?
Here's the question:
Maybe Josh, are you Irish?
Are you Irish?
No.
Oh, he's not. All right.
Now you can cue that foghorn.
Oh no!
Jake's
I think I got a better one.
And feel bad about himself for a little bit. I wasn't going to talk about this yet, but since you've been spamming the duck horn, one, is he Italian or Irish? I couldn't speak to that, but he is very, very talented. His edits on his videos are incredible, and there's a lot of cool stuff always going on in the background and the forefront and everything. Jake and I have both done videos with him. I did one very recently. There was an edit where a duck horn was involved.
Oh my gosh.
I don't really know how many people still watch from our Destiny days. You know, how many of those friends came over when we started doing D&D stuff. But Jake and I were really big into Destiny for a long time. Have you ever played Destiny, Lee?
I did. I never got super into it though.
So there was a period of time. It was back when Nightfalls were Nightfalls. I don't know. I don't remember all the details. I just know that if you know, you know.
That's exactly.
There were a very small amount of activities that you could do to get high level gear, and I was underleveled and didn't have a lot of time to play. And we did this high level activity. It was really difficult. And you had this thing that was like a speeder from Star Wars in the game. It was called the Sparrow. And it had very limited use. There were like a couple missions and strikes that you could use it on for like a small portion of it. And it was fun, but it was not important at all.
And it was once a week. Like after you got your thing for the week, that was it. Like you'd have to wait till the next reset in order to...
Once a week?
Yeah,
once a week for like the new like high level gear. You could only do the activities one time per week. So I get my reward, and it's a horn for my Sparrow.
Yeah, it's not a gun. It's not an artifact or anything powerful. It's a freaking horn.
Nothing that would like increase my level so that stuff would be easier. I still had my level's still the same.
Yep.
But I had a duck horn.
It was a duck horn. And I remember because I think it was just you and me, Josh, that did it. It was normally a 3-person activity. Like, we could figure it out, and we did. And you just see on the like, I don't know, the news feed, it's like real Josh T gets a duck horn. I just started laughing. I was like, all that work for nothing.
I was so furious. Well, it ended up, but when in the future of the game, when everybody's max level and whatever, and all the gear doesn't really matter, I still had my duck horn, and I still used it all the time, and it was funny. So it was especially funny to me when you put a duck horn over my voice.
Duck horn is best, man. I don't know what you're talking about. Best in slot.
You guys should definitely check out that video. It was a fun time. I think we'll have it up on the screen.
Since we're on the topic, every single video that I have done since I did that one D&D video with you, I have put little Easter eggs of at least one of you in my videos.
I had no idea you were going to put the confused Jake. I was like, what is this? I was like, why did I give him all these images of me?
I mean, you did it. Sorry.
I did.
We played games with you. We've done videos with you. We've seen your videos, but I don't think we've ever talked about this. We did a charity game with you too, which was awesome.
Oh yeah, we did, didn't we?
Yes, sir. Yeah. He's like, we haven't
So
known
I
you that
said
long,
to
but
the
we've
guy.
done quite a lot. That's not my wife. Oh
I
my
forgot
god.
about that.
Wow.
Oh man.
So, all that being said, we've done some tabletop things. What got you into tabletop RPGs to begin with?
Oh, that's a great question. And quite honestly, I don't have an answer that's going to be interesting for anyone. I think my older cousin, was talking about it one time. And I was like, hey, can I try? And I was probably like 9 to 12 years old at the time. And he's like, yeah, sure. So he's like 16, bringing me to his D&D table with a bunch of other 15, 16-year-old kids. And I'm this young kid. I'm like, they're all like, what are you going to play? I don't know. You should play a bard. Oh, okay. So I'm this little 9-year-old playing a satyr bard in 3.5, and they're like, "You have to sing." I'm like, "What?"
Sing, kid, sing. Like,
And then my first memory of that was right after. I think it was like for inspiration or something. I did it, and the guy was climbing up a tree, and he was at the top trying to look out for something. He rolls a 1, falls down, hits all the branches down the way down, and dies. And that was my first memory of D&D.
oh man.
And that's the first thing I remember. And then after that, I don't know what happened. I just started. I didn't play it again for. I was like, oh man, these people hate me. I stopped playing for like 4 or 5 years, and then I got really into it. I think probably like 2015. I tried running my first module, which was Out of the Abyss. Never do that to yourself, by the way.
Okay.
My first module was Out of the Abyss. If you don't know about that module, don't do that.
Yeah, so that's pretty early in 5e's lifespan, right? Because it was 2014. So
yeah, great module. I loved Out of the Abyss. It was so much fun. I picked it up in California, funnily enough, on vacation on the way home for a read back. I read it. I was like, I'm sold. But
it's a good
very hard to run. It is.
So do you like running pre-writtens? Is that something that's a go-to for you in your games, or
modules,
or just every now and then? Yeah, modules.
No, I hate modules.
Okay.
Yeah, not that I hate modules per se, but I'm a very loosey-goosey go with the flow kind of guy. And the way modules work, you really should read the whole module and then DM it, because some of the information it laid out in modules is just like some important information is like farther on in the book. So you really should read the whole thing. And man, I don't got time for that or the attention span. So I like the stories, but I don't have the commitment to a module unless there's some great guide about some module that I could go watch right now that happens to be on a channel that has JNJ at the beginning and Tabletop at the end.
Tabletop.
I'm about to make that as an alternate account.
JNJ Tabletop.
That's the account I'm gonna like trash talk people on in the comments.
No one will ever know it's us.
Be like, oh man, that J&J Tabletop is really, really rude in our comments. You're gonna be like, damn, that's crazy.
What can you do, right? So weird.
Oh, yeah, make a video. J&J Tabletop, please stop commenting on our videos. Great.
I like to tell the story of sometimes like how we in these get to know yous for our community, like how we met. The way I feel like at least I met you was when I was a guest on Jordan from Flute Sloot, his stream. We were just talking about 1D&D, and like I remember seeing in chat, I was like, man, I didn't remember your name until after you DM'd me, and I was like, oh, that must have been you, because I felt like every time you would say something like, this guy, we see a lot of the things the same way. Or, or like I would say something and then it would just like pop up in chat and you'd be like, oh, you said it already. I'd be like, okay. And then
like, this guy crits.
Yeah, this guy he rolls that nat 20 all the time because he's from Boston.
Absolutely.
Oh, he did it.
He did it.
Lee. Totally. There it is.
This is the best addition to this software.
Yes, especially in the hands of someone with ADHD.
Anyways.
But then like I feel like it was like a few days later maybe or recently after that you DM'd me like, would you want to do like a video on the druid, because I think it was a lot of druid stuff in the 1D&D packet or something to that effect.
Is that really the first time we really talked?
That's the first time at least that comes to mind for me.
Really?
Yeah, because if there was another time, I apologize, but like and you were like want to do a video together, I was like,
you're probably right.
Okay.
I just
was like,
man,
sure.
We're chatting like a bunch of high school girls in this DM. Holy snot, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're right. Holy snot. that one D&D Druid stuff was the first time
Yep.
we actually. That feels like so much farther back than that, but that really was
Yeah, that was
That's
the
bananas.
wild shape abomination they put
that
forth.
they tried to force. Yeah,
It's like there's only
exactly.
3 type of animals in the world.
You can pick dog, cat, burb.
That princess is in another castle. But we made a video about that when we got to collab, and it's up on your channel. I had a ton of fun making it.
That was my favorite video I ever made.
That was so much
I still
fun.
think that was my favorite video I ever made. I was talking to Josh about it before when you went to go do something. And I was telling him like that it's a 60-minute video. It took me probably about 16 hours to edit, ballpark.
Oh, wow.
But it was my favorite edit I'd ever made. And that video actually, surprisingly enough, I feel like was a huge turning point in my personal video editing style. Because before that, like I was telling Josh too, like my early videos were just trash. It was talking head and like the editing was terrible. Like my green screen chroma key was terrible. And then I was like, you know what? I'm going to submit some money into this. So I got Premiere, learned how to do it a little bit, and I was dabbling in it with it a little bit. And then I reached out to you. I was talking about the Druid 1 D&D stuff, and I was like, man, I got to impress this guy. I got to, this guy was, I got to wine and dine this guy good. So
So funny to get the perspective of someone else.
So I did it. And I made that video. I was like, this guy is indebted to me now. This is a fucking work of art.
And I've been paying for it ever since. I
It's
don't think
true.
that debt will ever be paid off.
But yeah, that was so much fun. And then I just did one with Josh, which I thought was fantastic. It wasn't as in-depth as the one I did with Jake, but still, it was fun. Like,
I thought you guys were great together.
That was a lot of fun.
I need more people to work with. Like, I'd love to do more with you guys where it's more like banter, similar to that one D&D style video, because it just makes it so much more fluid. It's funny. Jake makes a stupid pun. I apologize after the fact. Like, then Josh is sitting down in a chair for some reason and quacks. We need more of it. That's all. Anyways, sorry, tangent.
I've never used the soundboard. I was looking for it for when you said I quacked.
Not all it's quacked up
It's
to
the
be.
bottom left. There's a button down there. There it is. He got it.
Lee, you
Yes.
mentioned that you got started in 3.5.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite edition then? Because now you've at the very least you've played
Son of a
3.5,
bitch.
you've played 4th, and you've played 5th. I know
Never
we're still
played 4th.
early in 4th. You've not yet.
Never played 4th.
We're playing it tomorrow night, nerd.
That's what, 1 episode? 2 episodes?
3rd time's a charm.
Okay, fine. Fine.
Two
If you're going to
episodes.
commit that as
You've dipped
experience,
your toe
fine.
in the water. You've dipped your toe.
Fine.
Fine, it's still my least favorite.
It's still terrible.
The rumors are true.
I can't honestly comment on 4E yet because we haven't gotten super deep into it. I don't like it.
Fair enough.
It's different. I like it. I like it because it's different, and I don't know if it's just because it's different or what. I've played 3.5, dipped my toes in 4, as you already mentioned. Spent probably 90% of my time in 5e, and then whatever I didn't was in Pathfinder 1 and 2. They're all different, and they're all great for their own reasons. It's hard, right? Because I don't think it has a favorite. They're good at different things.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very biased towards 5th edition because it's what I know and I'm most confident in, right? I think it's got to be 5e. I really do. And that's, well, you can ask the comment section. There definitely will be. But like,
please comment and tell us
why I'm wrong. I think 5th edition's streamlinedness is so much better suited for the majority of people, right?
Yeah.
When you do 3.5 Pathfinder, obviously there's differences between all of them, but you start getting into like battle game, Warhammer-esque style gameplay, which is fun, but the majority of people aren't going to enjoy that. And quite honestly, I enjoy a lot of role play in my games, and having nitty-gritty rule sets on how to do role play, even though it doesn't necessarily technically exist, doesn't make sense to me, which is why the simplicity of 5e is perfect. I like a pretty big 70% role play, 30% combat generally in my games. And really, it's as simple as that. But I mean, they're all good. They're all fun for their own reasons. And I just prefer 5e because honestly, probably I'm lazy. It's easy to know. What about you guys? What's your favorites?
Well, there's an expression that 5e is everyone's second favorite system. We like to quote a lot of WebDM here. That's a Jim Davisism. And I don't think that's true. I think a lot of older players probably feel that way, but I think most people nowadays would say it's their favorite system, and I think for good reason. You said it well, like they all do and scratch itches that you might have for the time. I do think I'll say 5e. I mean, I'm a little bored with it right now, but like I'm hard pressed to find one that I think that I've enjoyed more thoroughly.
Well, I've only ever played fifth and fourth. And fourth, we've only got 3 actual sessions of rolling dice. I mean, one of them was the session 0 too.
Yeah.
I think the one that excites me the most, and that I felt this way since the beginning, is third and 3.5. When I look at any of those books, I'm like, man, I wish I was playing this game, when this came out.
And also, Lee, I've never played a 3rd edition game or 3.5, so
really?
I can't choose that.
Yeah, I got into the hobby pretty late. I think I started either 2015, 2014. That was my first time playing a TTRPG just in general. But yeah, 5th edition is definitely my favorite.
Yeah.
I don't think it does everything the best, but it does everything well enough. I don't know. There's a lot of other systems that I would love to play. I mean, fans of the channel and friends of mine who have been stuck in Discord calls with me, know that I get really excited about other RPG systems. Like I have Twilight 2000, I have the Legend of the Five Rings, 5th. I believe it's either 4th or 5th edition. So many more. I genuinely have a bookshelf filled with RPGs, but most of the time people just want to play 5e. So that became a frustration with 5e for a little bit, that it was like it's the only thing that anyone ever wanted to do. And I kind of feel like as people are getting fed up with 5e, I'm like, I think I'd like to play a little bit more 5e.
Josh just zigs when everyone else zags. That's all there is to it.
I do tend to do that.
Yeah.
I'm like a hipster who doesn't want to be a hipster, but I definitely have hipster tendencies.
Calm down, Henry Cavill. But
there it is.
I've definitely seen a lot of people mention other systems, not just D&D or not just fantasy style, but like Call of Cthulhu, the other things that you've mentioned. Like, what's the Critical Role coming out? Daggerheart,
yeah.
A lot of new systems that people are excited about. I'm not into that stuff. Not that I'm not into it. Like, I'm not someone who would get excited to be like something like a video game, right? You're like, oh, I'm so excited to get into this and go for it. And I'm like, man, I struggle to remember 5e. I don't want to have to learn a new, not even like don't want to have to, but I don't really want to commit the time to learn a new system unless like other people are excited and want to do it, and then I'll be like, okay, I'll do it. Right? Because I have what I want with 5e currently. I'm not looking for anything else. Not to say I wouldn't enjoy the other things, because I guarantee I 100% would enjoy the other things, right? There's what wouldn't you enjoy? But like, I am such a vanilla ice cream kind of guy. Like, I love my medieval fantasy style RPG. You have your swords, magic.
It's called being Irish, Lee.
Guinness. Yeah, I was gonna
say the same thing, right?
It's amazing.
Just another Irishman from Boston.
It's oh my gosh, wow. Like you're mentioning other systems that are being announced like recently and everything, and I feel like once that OGL stuff happens, I hope no one feels like targeted by this, because this really isn't for any person in particular. But like once the OGL stuff happened, everyone was like, I'm gonna make my own system. Like this is my own,
I felt it. I've been working on mine.
Well, yeah, and
I don't feel like you're targeting it. I'm just saying.
I know you don't. But like that's the kind of the other side of things. Is like
I doubled down on 5e.
You did.
I feel like we've talked about other systems like here and there for years. And that could be the case for other people too. From the viewer's perspective of like all of these new things being announced at the same time, it's just like, oh, all right, well, you're just trying to do this because you think people are gonna like run away from D&D and try your homebrew system. And I don't know. I have no excitement for any of those. I'm sure some of them are going to be incredible, but I think it was just everything all at once that I was just
overwhelming.
There's so much. It was so overwhelming that I just kind of rejected all of it, and I'm like, no, I'm good. But on another side of just like playing other games in general, a lot of the reasons I like playing 5e is because I don't love being the guy. Like Jake is the rules guy. I know a lot of the rules, but I always know that if Jake is in my group, I could be like, "That's how that works, right?" And he's gonna tell me.
Usually,
"Yeah,
I'll
you
have
got it."
either that or I'll have something open on D&D Beyond at the same time, and I'll see where it's going. So let me just have that ready in case he asks.
I think it's the easiest system, but not necessarily because it's the easiest system. There's just the most resources and most knowledge out there for it.
That's a very good point.
So the convenience is definitely a factor, right? Lee, you kind of brought up something a little bit earlier, and I genuinely, this is a question for both of you, because we all in some way or another did say 5e was our favorite. How much of that do you think is because it's more known, or like that's what your friends know? Like, is it the system that you feel like just sings and is great? Or is it just everybody knows 5e and that's why it's my favorite? Because it's about, a lot of times these games are just about relationships and fun times and laughing and all that kind of good stuff. But just kind of made me wonder, like,
It is 100% my favorite because I am comfortable enough to run it. I'm comfortable enough to like answer any question anyone has about it with like 95% certainty. I know what you're gonna know the answer to the question. It has what I need and I'm comfortable with it. It's my favorite because I'm comfortable with it and I know it. Really, that's what it comes down to. You know, I can have fun with my friends doing anything. Like I'm having fun with you guys playing the worst system ever, 4E. And so I don't think it comes down to like fun with friends per se. Obviously, that's why you play games in general. Like if that's your bar for if the system is your favorite or not, every system's your favorite because you're probably going to have fun with everything, at least varying levels of it. But I think just being comfortable with it, knowing that it has what I need or it has the systems in place for me to be able to tell a story that I want to tell. That's all I need from a system. Like I said, I don't even think it's my favorite per se because I don't really think of it in terms of favorites. I just think in terms of it's got what I need. I'm happy. If I wanted to play a war game, I'd probably go play like Warhammer or something like that. That sounds like I'm a huge nerd. I'll break out the freaking measuring tape. Let's go. I'm all about that. But it's totally different. Not to say 3.5 to Pathfinder to D&D 5e is very, very, that much different. But I guess being comfortable is the main thing for me.
It's a big factor, isn't it?
Yeah, that's good point.
Yeah, no, I mean that's definitely one of the major things for me, that it's a stumbling block for trying other systems too, because if I know that I'm the one who's introducing a system, unless someone is really excited about it, which is rare, I'm the only one who's going to know the rules to it. So like I really, really need to know those rules. And in most cases I'd rather just play 5e, because of that comfort factor. That's not to say I don't love 5e. I love 5e. I think it's great. I don't think it's perfect. But comfort's definitely the biggest thing for me with that.
I got add something to that real quick. I just realized it. The one thing about 5e that is why it is my favorite system is that it's simple enough that if there isn't a rule for something, I can make one like that. Because there's situations where there's a good chunk of situations where there's no official rules for certain things. But 5e, like, it's so simplified that as a DM, you can make a quick decision to be like, oh, this is what it is.
I'll give you advantage on that.
I feel that way too, that I could easily do that in 5e. But is that because of simplicity of rules or just because of comfort with the system? Because there's definitely games out there that are like Powered by the Apocalypse. Incredibly simple. Most of it is just made up. For me, that's not enough structure. And I know that it's so many people love it. I really would love to play in a game that uses it. I got the Avatar Kickstarter. I have like all the cool books from that, but it's like not enough structure. But 5e, definitely a lot of rules, but I'm comfortable with it. So it's like if I don't know the answer to something or whatever, it's just like, okay, like I know it's probably just going to be some sort of dice roll. I don't know what you roll for this. I'm just going to decide what I think is best and we'll figure it out afterwards. I've been talking a lot. I just want to say one thing quickly.
How dare you?
We all are.
About what I just said previously about trying new systems. I'm going to have to try a new system soon. And the reason for that is because we practice what we preach here. And we've done a lot of videos about DMing and talking about you don't have to know every rule and all that kind of things. And basically what I just said is I'm not going to try a new system because I don't know every rule and it's uncomfortable. So that's a challenge I'm going to have for myself sometime in the next couple months. I'm moving pretty soon, so It's probably going to be either next month or the month after, but yeah, I will try a new system. So
I'm not.
that's fine. The words came
Unless
out.
one of you ask
As
me.
long as you're the guy, I'm good.
If you ask me, I'll do it.
It's
because I don't say no to anyone.
Listen, man. The more experience I get with people I enjoy, getting along with. Let's go. Let's just go.
The words came out of my mouth, and I was like, "This is not what we're about at all." And I don't know. I had to.
You can cut it in post. It's okay.
I could. I'd
That's a
rather
lot
take
of work.
accountability.
You
That's a lot of
outed
work.
yourself entirely.
It's all good. But I think it does highlight sometimes the difference between, say, your personal values and beliefs about something, and then also just how sometimes your emotions just like, practicing what you preach is important, but it's also important to understand where you may fall short in that at times too, because no one's perfect. So from my point of view, because I know we're recording it, it is something that we will be releasing at some point, but I am running the 4E game that we've talked about, and I have a lot of like very fond memories of my 4E times, and I still really do enjoy the system, but it's been like 10 years since I ran a 4E game, and then a few times I'm just like, this is clunkier than I remember. And then I'm just like, is that just because I'm translating 5e? Because like they're very blended in my mind when I'm sitting, at the DM's chair, even though it's really just this chair. And I'm also translating it for John, has obviously he's played a lot of 4E, but like for everybody else, like I'm like, oh, wait, no, you just moved while in their reach. So that's an attack of opportunity. It's not leaving that does it. Like there's tiny little variations and things that everybody's getting used to. And do I like this as much as I thought I did? Like there's a lot of things that are like, I liked 4E in the context of 4E. It brought me back to playing Dungeons and Dragons, but 5e didn't exist yet, and now 5e exists. So it's just interesting and fun to me to like kind of just think about that.
Yeah, I don't want to go too far into the 4e stuff because I know a lot of your viewers probably don't know much about 4e.
That's all good.
Like the system in 4e of how spellcasting isn't a thing officially, right? It's just like you have abilities that you can use. I think that's such a cool variation, and it fixes, well, it's funny, like it doesn't fix because it's like a predecessor. It's just a different kind of solution for a lot of issues that 5e happens to have. Recently there's been a lot of 5e complaints about reaction spells, like counter spells, silvery barbs, shield, stuff like that. Now we just got powers. No more worrying about that, right? Like, yeah. And I could be talking about my butt because I don't know how far in 4e that goes. But like, it's just an interesting, different take on how to play the same exact game, right? It's just a very unique way, and I like how it's set up thus far at level 1. I will withhold my opinion until further notice.
I feel like it's easy to see the thought process behind it. I think why it failed is, I'm calling it a failure is probably extreme, but I think
it's objectively true, just from a sales perspective.
I think what it did was it did kind of just homogenize everything, and that was the design goal. Like that was like, like you want to be a warrior of some kind or a caster of some kind, you all kind of interact with combat in the same way. Like you might have some more gonzo things one way or the other, but not to be a weirdo or anything.
Gonzo, that guy, he was in the Muppets, right?
Yes, he was the guy with the big long nose.
Yeah.
And he was a weirdo. That was his race or species or whatever lineage.
Oh, I don't remember that far, man. Now we're getting into the lore of the Muppets. What the hell?
Yes. And his girlfriend's name was Camilla the chicken. Anyways,
Kermit the Frog here.
But I do think it's funny how like the feature of a system is why someone thinks it's bad. It's like, well, but did they hit the design goal?
Playing 4th edition and like really like reading through the rules and looking at it, it's like, I think the reason so many people hated it is so many things are just so vastly different than how they were in previous editions.
No doubt.
And I think it was just too different. And it's interesting because I think about that with like 5e, and I've probably at this point been heard on video talking about the rules update or whatever we're calling it this week, and how, in my opinion, it's either we're still doing 5e or give me a 6th edition. I want something different, or I just want give me more options for 5th edition. What I like about 4th edition is not necessarily 4th edition. 4th edition as a whole, I'm kind of in the same boat with Lee, where I'm like, I don't think it's fair for me to give it like a final opinion yet. But I think that they put a lot of new ideas in there and interesting like concepts that I think 5e could have drawn from and can still draw from, as far as like,
Yes.
I don't know, whatever supplements with extra powers and those kind of things. And you could make combat more interesting without having it be the slogfest that everyone says 4e is.
Yeah, I think well, the rules update 5.5, if you will. Like, we just did a video on our top 3 barbarian subclasses, and
Great video.
Spoiler alert, Path of the Giant from Big B's, whatever the name of the release is.
Glory of Giants.
Real big. That barbarian path for us was just, that's the best one. And it wasn't even close. So like, this concept of power creep is 100% present. And I feel like you guys are doing funny things right now in our DM. Anyway,
I knew I could make Lee laugh by saying something childish, so that's what I did.
But I do think something that updating the rules, if you will, can go back and look at, say, a subclass like the Beastmaster Ranger, or like the Dragon Magic Sorcerer, or the Champion Fighter, and kind of just bring them up a bit. And it's still power creep, but it could try and at least close that gap a little bit and smooth that out. I kind of am looking forward to the Dungeon Master's Guide, because I think they're going to put a little more thought into making that like laid out well and more useful.
Yeah.
Rather than starting off with, why don't you design your multiverse? And they're like, oh, what does it mean to be a dungeon master? Maybe you should start there.
Yeah.
People didn't even know what a multiverse was when that book came out, you know?
Yeah.
I feel like unless you're an actual nerd, most people found out about multiverse because of the Marvel movies. You know?
It was
I hate
plain
multiverse stuff.
and simple.
I hate
I
it.
agree.
So convoluted. None of it needs to be there.
Yep.
It's just there because the people who made the lore got lazy, as far as I'm concerned.
They certainly didn't explain much of it.
Oh, that's a spicy take.
I agree with you. Multiverses and Earth 1 or Earth 2 is what you get when you have close to 100 years of comics about the same people and you just don't know what to do next. But I think you're in the middle.
A reboot.
Yeah.
Superman 7. He comes back and this time he fights Spider-Man.
This time he
no.
doesn't have Crypto, his dog.
This time his colors are blue and red, not red and blue.
He just fights for justice, truth, and the Irish way.
You're such a prick. To kind of wrap this talk up about the systems, right? Because we've been going for a while about the systems. The one thing that I would love to see in the future of D&D, and I can't speak for like rule updates because, you know, I've spent most of my time in 5e, and, you know, I'm not that old dude who sat there through 3 or 4 different editions, like, oh, there's rule sets, blah, blah, blah. I don't care so much about the rule sets because that's just, you know, me being a youngin, new to 5e and their systems and whatever. But what I want to see in the future is I want to see more unique classes. It's interesting to me that they're sort of experimenting with a lot of stuff with newer subclasses, but I want to see more like whole hog stuff deeper into like psionics, right? Or like
Nooch is playing a sword mage in 4e. It would be nice.
Yeah,
to have
like
a dedicated
like
class.
that, right? Like I'm thinking like, oh, what the hell am I thinking of? Like a shaman. From a Warcraft background, shamans and druids are similar, but they're different, right? They do different things. And maybe a lot of people are going to say they're very similar for D&D purposes, but that's just an example, right? Like other things that people can pull into, other class fantasies that people can jump into that aren't fighter, wizard, druid. Because let's be real, they're all just flavors of that. I want more interesting player mechanics. I want more classes, more things like that. And that's the one thing about 5e that is a little bit not ideal, is that it doesn't lend itself well to a large range of like classes and mechanics like that, because everything is so simplified. You're restricted to attack rolls, advantage, armor class, hit dice,
Saving throws.
And those are like the mechanics you're restricted to.
It does seem like the way it's designed is, if you want something different, make a subclass for something close, which
is fine.
It can do okay for certain things.
Yeah.
Which just actually made me think about the sword mage. There should be like an oath of the arcanum or something like that for the paladin.
That would be so cool. Like
right,
a
you have the
scholarly
arcana
paladin.
domain.
There's so many other avenues that these things can go, and they don't have to be new classes. They can just be new subclasses, right? Like it's
you could buy all the old ones again with slight different wording.
Exactly. Yeah. Yep. And dude, the spells. We need more spells. Quit giving me 5 spells a module. Give me more.
that's actually something that's interesting. So you took out your papers earlier, right? That was
Yeah.
was that your 101 new spells
Yeah,
that
it
you
was.
made? Why don't you talk about that a little bit since you're there? Because you
Yeah, sure.
is it out now? Like, is there a PDF someone could grab?
Not yet. The thing was with this module, right? I'm calling it Crits Compendium, a compendium of Asura, which is my homebrew world, right? So it's got information about like my homebrew world, all the lore, like basic lore about it, and 101 spells. I'm probably going to add more because I have a problem. But I am planning on releasing it in a couple of months. I'm slowly putting content out on YouTube because I want to get content out of it, but I don't want to charge money for it because everyone needs more of these, right? Like we all want it. I'm not charging money for something like that. So I wanted to put it out there, but I still wanted to get content out of it. So I'm making like short videos, and then I'm going to put longer form videos out to go over them and then release it.
But yeah, I've seen a few early drafts of some of the spells that you've done, and I was excited. A lot of them are not just like, oh, deal damage. They like deal damage and do a thing. If that's something that you might find interesting, you want to spice up your games a little bit, you should behold this crit in the description.
I'm not going to pretend like some of them aren't overpowered. It's still a draft.
Well, that's what playtesting's for.
I like things that do multiple things. One of my favorite spells in here is called Astral Debris, where it like calls down stars. It's like a little mini meteor swarm. It calls 3 stars, and you can hit 3 people in a certain range. And it deals like minimal damage, but it creates difficult terrain where the stars hit. It's kind of like a scorching ray kind of thing, but it's not damage. It's like now it's more control. And it's not just for the freaking wizard that gets Scorching Ray. Now, Druid gets something fun at level 1, 2, or level 2. Because level 2 spells, man, I don't know about you, level 2 spells suck. There's no good second level spells.
Well, that's not true.
What's my favorite one, Jake?
Your favorite or my favorite?
I think both of our favorites are level 2. I think both of our favorite level 2 spells are the same. Yeah, Misty Step. I gave it to you with a bow.
Oh, Spike Growth.
Spike Growth. I love Spike Growth, and I love Misty Step.
Spike Growth people sleep on.
You're 100% right.
Every
Name another one.
Invisibility.
Is that second level?
Sure is.
Okay, name another one.
Darkness.
You like darkness?
Hello, my old friend.
That's fair. Name another one.
It's just going to be naming.
Yes. Name another one.
Okay. Flaming Sphere.
Yeah, that one's shit.
It's freaking awesome.
It's boring.
It's boring.
I mean,
move this boulder of fire around. It's not. It's damaging and control.
Ugh, they're boring. You're wrong. Everything. You're all wrong.
They do tend. Second level spells do tend to lend themselves to more utility stuff.
There's 5 pages on D&D Beyond, right? 5 of them. You named 5 spells that are good.
I'm sure I could find more. Is Mirror Image level 2? I think Mirror Image is level 2.
Is it really?
I think it is.
No way it's level 2. No way it's level 2.
You just sang its praises in your last video.
It's level 2. Okay, you got me. I've been got.
You just sang its praises in your last video.
Listen, all right. This guy over here is trying to make me look like an idiot.
Well, you challenged me.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Fine. There's Aid too. Aid's another good one.
It's not too bad. Yeah, not too bad.
Aid's pretty good. I do like that one a lot. Yeah, I quit. This interview's done. That was not in the prompt that you gave me.
No, yeah. This is a very scripted discussion, by the way.
Incredibly so.
All right. So, in case people haven't gotten an idea of what your content is like, I will ask you, what is your content like? Why do you make content? And like,
don't ask me that, man. I don't know.
What got you into it? What drew you to do this in the first place? Like, why were you like, hey, that seems like something I want to do?
That is a great question. I started, okay, so what really happened, right, is I built a D&D table. I built a physical D&D table with like fold out sections, it's, leather mat, like plain mat.
Do you have like a video of like showing it?
I'm making a video about it. It's been on the burner for like a month, but it's there. But I made a table because I was like, man, my cousin used to work at a company that I don't want to mention because they've been some stuff on the internet, regardless of how you feel. But he used to work there, and he like walked me through some of this stuff. And I was like, okay, I can do this. So I made a table. Well, now I have a D&D table, but I don't have anyone to play with. So I was like, all right, time to play some D&D. Let's do this, and we'll record it. So I spent like $2,000 on like cameras, microphones, green screens, railings.
Okay.
And that's how it started.
Okay.
And then COVID happened and no one could come over.
Oh,
So
man.
no more content. Yeah, it was literally episode 4. And then we
Hmm.
had to stop for like 6 months.
Okay.
And then I was like, man, I started this. I might as well keep going with it. And then that's how it happened.
My biggest question there is, you said you didn't have anyone to play with. How did you find people to play with? Because I think this is something that a lot of people struggle with.
Shameless plug. I made a video about this literally 2 weeks ago. I had known people that I met at work. They would watch Critical Role and they would talk to me about it. And they're like, this is, we were just shooting the shit. And I just brought it up casually in one conversation. They're like, yes. So it was a person I worked with, my brother, and a past friend, and that person I work with fiance at the time that we started to play. So I had only really known my brother and one of my friends and the coworker sort of, but not really well. And then her and her fiance came over to join us. That's how I got that group together. And then my fiance later joined us after that. But that was just luck on my end that I had people that I knew that wanted to play D&D.
Critical Role, I think, is a really good way to get people into the game, like especially now that they have the show on Amazon too. If anyone's watching at this point and you don't have a group and you want a group, I definitely would encourage you. If people are talking about podcasts, say, oh, watch Critical Role. At worst, someone's going to be like, I don't know what that is. And you'll explain it and they'll be like, it doesn't sound interesting to me. And at best, maybe now you have someone to play with. That's how I got Izzy to join our group. He was asking for podcast recommendations, and I was like, watch Critical Role. Now we play not every week, but a couple times a month.
It's something I really need to get over because honestly, you're right. I tend to not mention Critical Role a lot because in the community, there's like one of two kinds of people. I guess there's 3 kinds of people. People like me who like it, I enjoy it. It's good, they're damn good at what they do. There's people that love it, and there's people that hate it. Those are the 3 kinds of people. And I tend to not get into a conversation about Critical Role because it's not worth it if you find that hate person. It isn't. It never is. But I will say it is a great casual conversation starter to find people like that. You are 100% right. I'm talking about in my space of my D&D nerd friends. I don't want to talk about it with them because there's people that love and hate it. But if you're just talking about in work or whatnot, that's a great way to start because let's be honest, if someone is newer to D&D and they're just getting into it, chances are it's because of Critical Role. People can argue that one way or another, but no one can deny that the effect that they have had.
I think it's been far more positive than negative.
Yeah. Another easy entry point too is the movie. You don't want to talk about podcasts or whatever. People are talking about movies. Just even if you saw it in theaters, be like, man, I watched this movie on whatever, last weekend.
Yeah.
The D&D movie. Wow. It was, then I feel like so much of this is trying to coax the nerd out of people. Someone says they watch Star Wars. You're like, all right,
100%.
Yep.
Do you know who Voldemort is? Oh, you watched that too? Okay.
Yeah.
What about Mordor? Oh, really? Okay.
Yes.
Once you have the Holy Trinity, then even if they've never played before, they'll try it out.
And then you just all of a sudden say bidet by accident, and then they're like, "What'd you say?" Yeah, done nothing. It wasn't me. Did you just say bidet? Yeah, no. Grog. Hey, yeah.
Bidet. Yep. I don't know if it's just because I'm getting older now, but I kind of just don't care. I'll just say it if I want to. I have a coworker. I worked remote since COVID, but I was at the office a few weeks ago for, I don't even remember what it was. It was something quick, but I just stopped by and was talking to a couple of people. They were just asking how everything's going, blah blah blah, this and that, and they were like, well, what kinds of things are you doing for fun these days? I was like, well, I play D&D usually once a week, and they were just like, really? And like they perked up so quickly, and I was like, so you play too. And he started telling me all about his game. I think we talked more about his game than mine.
But that's why I like D&D, dude. When you meet someone new you've never met before, and then just D&D comes to the conversation, you learn more about that person in the next 10 minutes than you would ever know in any other situation.
It's such a great connection.
Great. It really is. It is such a good connection. I love hearing all these stories about people's players, all their worlds, and people I've never spoken to before in my life, and you just bring up D&D, and then you just get all these stories.
Yep. At my last job, I never would have expected to find someone who played, but somebody I worked with for a while. I don't remember how we found out. I might have said something about the YouTube channel, or I think it was when we started the stream. So it was like the ancient
I thought
relics
that
of
was
religions.
That's if I
Yeah.
remember.
But yeah, it would be like every week we would have the two of us would like break down. He was
What
him
does
and his brother
Knuckleheads do
were
this
running their
time?
first. Yeah, exactly. Him and his brother were running their first game, and they were doing it together. So like I've given him a lot of advice about that, and then it would just be the the debrief, every week. Well, what happened this time? What happened?
Like, why would
Okay,
they
how are you
even
gonna
think
handle that?
So this is the part in the video where Josh and Lee had something they had to do, and they left me with the microphone. And what I want to say to you actually is I really have enjoyed getting to know Lee. And I know I said it at the top of this video, but if you can take a moment, just go find this information about him in the description, follow him, subscribe to him. He's a good dude. He's a very funny and very talented guy. So don't tell him I said that. However, I really can't recommend him enough. And when we put someone on one of these videos, it really is because we not only do we just enjoy them and get along with them, but we genuinely believe in them. And Lee is definitely one of those people. So without question, go find his information. Tell him he's Irish, like I've been doing all episode for whatever reason. But yeah, he's a very funny guy. And truth be told, I'm not having the greatest day, but this has lifted my spirits. And that's the kind of guy he is. So go do the thing. If you enjoyed your time listening to this discussion and getting to know our good friend Lee here, first, I think you should see a medical professional. Secondly, I think you should check the description of this video.
You talking to me or the people watching?
I'm talking to the viewers. You're stepping on my outro. I'm trying to shout you out. You should check out the description to find this guy. Lee, but for people that won't do that and just want to type in a URL bar, where can people find your YouTube and other places that might be of interest?
Oh goodness, that's a great question.
Appropriate
That is
to share.
Great question. At this crits, pretty much everywhere. I think. I changed my tag a while ago. I can't remember. Yeah, it's just at this crits for everything.
Well, they'll probably either see your face or the logo in the corner here.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep. It's been there the whole time.
So that's how you know.
Staring at you, licking its lips.
Licking its lips, just asking you to subscribe to us and Lee. And if you haven't subscribed to us and you've watched this long, I mean, wow.
Honestly, you should see a doctor.
That's probably true too.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, you're one of two types of people. You either watch this long because you really enjoyed it, or you watch this long because you wanted to accurately roast us. And either way, comment about it.
Let us know about it. Yes.
I'm going to write such a scathing comment.
Oh boy. But on that note, thank you so much for watching. As Josh likes to say at the end of our gameplay videos, be kind to each other because it's worth it. So thank you for watching and take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Italian.